Stairs are usually the biggest or first indicator if a deck is out of code. Because if a deck's out of code, the stairs are generally going to be out of code. Stairs are very stringent in how they need to be built as far as rise and run and guardrails and whatnot. We'll also check the ledger attachment, which is the board that connects the deck to the house. That's usually very crucial, something that's out of code. The house envelope protection, and then the post to pier or footing connection is also something that's very indicative of a deck being out of code. So there haven't been a lot of code changes in our area in the past handful of years. But one that we see a lot on older decks, and if we're replacing a deck and now we've got to do something different, is when the deck is attached to a house cantilevered wall, and the cantilevered wall is where the house wall overhangs the foundation. Now you have to independently support that deck versus 20 years ago, decks were just bolted right to that cantilever. And the problem with doing that is the house cantilever is not really engineered to carry an additional deck load, so it's got to be independently supported. So a lot of times that, if it's an upper house wall that's cantilevered, it'll be over some lower windows, and then we've got to design or inform the customer there's going to be some posts coming down below. They're usually pretty surprised about that. They're very surprised about the post to pier condition, because if you set a cedar post in contact with a pier without separating it with a standoff base, it's going to wick moisture up and rot out, and that's something that people don't generally realize that's non-code compliant, which there's a lot of decks in this area that have been built that way. And then stairs are another one that customers are generally surprised about. We tell them the stairs got to come out further now because this, the rise and the run are off from today's code. So those are the main things. Really, you should be checking your deck every year for code compliance. It's just a good idea to make sure that even if that deck was built code compliant a few years ago, the manner in which it was assembled, you need to make sure that those connections and that craftsmanship is holding up and still meeting the codes. For instance, a guardrail needs to withstand 200 pounds of concentrated load at the top rail in any direction. Well, if that guardrail wasn't, if they didn't use screws or they didn't use the right type of fasteners, that guardrail may have been code compliant a few years ago, but just Mother Nature and wear and tear on it may be weaker now than it was then, and it may not be code compliant. So it's a good idea to check your deck for code compliance at least once a year to make sure everything is code compliant.